As one of Johannesburg's best public gardens, Walter Sisulu has something for everyone. From easy and accessible paths to well-maintained botanical displays. For birders, however, it has many drawcards. So I'm here by the Sisulu Hide. I was the first person in the gate this morning, although still managed to get the last seat in the hide, so hoping to get some photographs, maybe some video of the giant kingfisher that's been frequenting the hide. And overall a beautiful sunny morning with lovely light, so we'll see what we get. The Sisulu bird hide is always popular with photographers of all skill levels, and it is the kingfishers that draw them here. A group of young reed cormorant are fishing. Not having attained their full black adult plumage yet, they are often mistaken for their white-breasted relative. As soon as they are out of the water, they immediately need to dry their feathers. These youngsters are still fishing while the loner dries himself. The open wings also help warm the body. All water birds pay particularly careful attention to their feathers, and Egyptian geese are no exception. A young male thick-billed weaver, his darker flight feathers starting to appear, is out learning how to build a nest. He clearly hasn't learned how to pick the right sort of pieces to build with. So the other useful thing to do is to, and it's a common birding technique, is to just pick a nice spot, sit and wait for things to pass. So I've been sitting on this bench for a little while, and I've got quite a few things passing by. I've seen bar-throated apalus, streaky-headed seed eater. So yeah, it's worth taking some time, pick a bench in a slightly quiet area where there's not too much passing traffic, and just sit and wait and see what you get. The ubiquitous hoddy-daw dominates the lawns and large trees of the gardens, and their loud familiar calls carry far. So the other thing that's worth spending time on at Walter Sisulu is to go along the quieter, unpaved section along the river. It's usually quieter and less traffic than where the paved section is, and particularly I would pay careful attention to listen out for and look out for grey-hooded kingfisher. It is a rarity in Gauteng and at Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens, but they have been seen here, so check out the vegetation, walk slowly along the river, keep an ear open, and you never know, maybe you'll be lucky. But even if you don't pick up grey-hooded kingfisher, what you may well get is African black duck. They're quite common along the river here. Definitely a duck species that prefers rivers to the still open waters of dams. So walk slowly, take your time, and you never know, you might get an African black duck, or if you're really lucky, the grey-hooded kingfisher. Walking slowly through the forests reveals many bird species. Stopping and checking every sound and every movement often reveals the more secretive forest species. So the slow and steady walk along the river, taking time to look for African black duck, has paid off. Just got a lone African black duck swimming up ahead on the water. So that's a really nice sighting. They're not the easiest duck to see compared to the likes of yellow-billed and even Egyptian goose that are far more obvious and present on the open water. So take your time walking along the river and you'll definitely get African black duck if you persevere and be a little bit quiet and patient. So the main bridge here at Walter Sisulu is very good for Cape weaver nesting over the river during the breeding season. Unfortunately at the moment, as you can see, it's not breeding season, there are no nests, but the Cape weavers will always build their nests over water, and you'll find that the different weavers have different breeding strategies. So southern masked weaver will make their nests in trees in gardens, thick-billed weaver will make their nests on 2 stalks in a reed bed. So you'll notice the different breeding strategies and nest building strategies of the various weavers, and this is a particularly good spot to get a close-up view of the Cape weavers with their nests over the river while they display for the females during the breeding season.
The gardens also has an excellent restaurant that is always busy.
So a relatively successful morning. We've seen Verreaux's eagle soaring over the waterfall. We've also seen black sparrowhawk, plus black sparrowhawk at the hide that tried to take out a hodidar. So it's really been an exciting morning so far. Stopped now for breakfast at, what is it called? Eagles Fair restaurant. And it's always worth taking time to have breakfast or a lunch here at Walter Sisulu. The restaurant's really excellent and it's a good break from birding. Fuel yourself up to carry on and look for more birds. One of the rare and rather special birds that gets seen at Walter Sisulu from time to time is grey wagtail. The last 2 years in a row they've been at this bridge and the one below it closer to the restaurant, and it is a rarity throughout southern Africa, and they're quite skittish, so I would always take the time in summer to check up and down the river, because you never know if you might be lucky enough to get a grey wagtail. So this area by the waterfall is probably the most popular spot at Walter Sisulu, and with these big cliffs, this botanical gardens is famous for the Verreaux's eagle that nest on these cliffs, and it's always worth spending a bit of time here. Just scan the skies above, eventually the black eagles will make a showing. And it's not only the black eagles that are seen here. This is quite a good spot to just hang around, listen to the alarm calls of birds and look for raptors. Things like black sparrowhawk, they're also nesting in the gardens at the moment. Lanner falcon has been seen here. So it really is a good spot to just hang around and keep an eye out, scanning the skies for raptors.
The walk to the top of the waterfall offers other unique birding opportunities within the gardens.
So this is always a tiring walk up to the waterfall. It's well worth it, the views are amazing. Unfortunately at the moment the waterfall's closed. There's been quite a bit of erosion with the rain along the sewerage line. So unfortunately you can't get up to the waterfall. But honestly, whenever you're here, take the effort to walk up to the waterfall. And this bush along the ridge here is good for things like lazy cisticola, nediki, and as I mentioned earlier, you'll get the striped pipits up here in this bush on rocky hill slopes. So well worth the walk, even though you may find yourself out of breath.
Make sure you take time to appreciate the close-up beauty of the small things like the mosses, plants, and the stream that hold much beauty to be appreciated.
So this sort of dense leaf litter that you get in these riverine forests are really good for birds that love to forage on the ground looking for insects, the likes of Kurichani thrush, Cape robin chat, maybe even a southern bobo might go onto the ground now and then looking for insects. As you move into the low veld, you'll even get things like terrestrial brown bull foraging on the ground. So whenever you're in these habitats, always listen for rustling on the ground either side of you and keep a lookout for whatever birds you might get. So I just spotted a Kurichani thrush in the undergrowth. As I mentioned, they love foraging in this sort of habitat. So quite a nice sighting. And as you will notice, compared to Karoo thrush, they're a lot more orange on the belly, and those malar stripes, or moustachial stripes if you want to call them, are a lot more prominent on the throat compared to the lighter streaking you'll get on the throat of Karoo thrush. And overall it's just a more brightly coloured bird. Okay, so this dense habitat at Walter Sisulu along the river here is really good for things like black cuckoo in the summer, paradise flycatcher also before they move down to the low veld in the winter months, and bar-throated opalus is quite common. So it's a really good habitat that you don't often encounter in Joburg. So it's well worth making sure you take a walk along the river here, as you'll definitely get some interesting species.
Walter Sisulu has much to offer all levels of birders all year round. No playback or flushing was used in the making of this video. Simply Birding supports responsible and ethical birding.